noon. We're just working. It's that time. I do know it is the first day of school and the first day of practice, so a lot of excitement, a lot of joy about moving into a new season, new opportunity. But also we know that we have a lot of tests to pass as we kind of move forward, and whatever we've done in the past, we don't get grades for that. So we're really happy to get started again.
Scottie, can you maybe help us wrap our head around Jameson's improvement this offseason? I think we've all seen on the field the different routes that he's running, particularly the comeback stuff. How much of that was just assignments you kind of gave him and maybe just him going out on his own and turning some kind of corner?
Yeah, I think he started to turn a corner a long time ago. I can't really but you could see it, you almost around the corner. And then this offseason, where I think he grew the most is, I really talked to him about strength and getting better and stronger in his lower quarters and changing his body. Even if you don't change weight-wise, you can change strength-wise, and he's gotten a lot stronger. And probably there was a couple of carrots dangled to get stronger. To be able to get out of those breaks, you got to have, stronger lower quarters. And, man, he came back, and I could immediately see the difference in his body type, but also his movement skills. It became not just explosive, but it became a point where now I can go be explosive and still stop on a dime. If you watched him, his progression has been his ability to stop and start, or start and stop. Either way you look at it, he's done a good job of that. Change of direction for him has always kind of been one of the things he could do just naturally in his routes. But when you're able to slam on brakes and when you're able to turn at the top with lower pad level and some of the details he's doing with his arms and keeping them tighter and running through cuts, like, all you got to do is ask right now. He's in that mode of where he is ascending and he's taking the right steps, but he has to do it every single day. But he's very receptive in his body more than anything. I think he's tried to do what we've asked him to do, but now his body is physically in a spot where when he calls on it, it can respond.
That's a lot of rookies over your coaching career. I'm just curious, what is it about Isaac that has made him get to a point where you guys feel pretty confident about his ability just to not only help you on offense, but special teams as well? What was it about his camp or just maybe his demeanor that gave you guys an indication that, boy, I think he can help us pretty early?
One thing, he's resilient. It's a tough room. I'll say that, like, starting with me. So as soon as you come in as a rookie, especially at that position, there's sometimes some lofty expectations that are put on you, but we take those off really quickly when you come into the room because of the people that we have in the room, and not only the guys that I've coached, but the guys that I'm currently coaching now. So the one thing that we saw every day is no matter what we did to him to make him understand that's not good enough, he kept correcting it, and he continues to pass the next test, right? And it was, he has just a tremendous amount of humility, without being humiliated even. Like, he just came in and did his job. And what we would see is he would take it from, the meeting room to the walkthrough, to the individual drills, to the practice tape. And when he failed in practice, he very rarely failed again in that same detail. So that lets us know, first of all, he cares, but it lets us know he's in his playbook. When you're in your playbook, you're going to get the respect of the people in the room. And when your mental errors are low, you get the respect of the people in the room. A lot of other people on the outside, they see playmaking and they think that's it. Well, you got to be in the right spot, especially now when the lights are truly on.
Back to Jameson for a quick sec. How much of that is your attention to detail, pointing out some of those things? I mean, sometimes as a player, you don't know what you don't know, so the arms being tight or the importance of the lower body strength, is that something that he just maybe didn't grasp before?
I think once you've heard it, it's like talking to anybody. You can maybe say it once or twice, but when you're leading with that constantly, it's going to have some type of an effect on you. So your coaching is definitely a part of it. But until the player is ready to receive it and go do it, so I always like putting it on the players. I think that when he's had good coaches before, there's no question about that. And it's just a point of when the player gets ready. Now it's up to the coach to get that person to a point of where they're ready. But when the player gets ready and it starts happening, and all they got to do is see it work on tape one time. I can remember seeing him run what we would call a snap route, or some other people would call it different thing, hinges. And he realized that at the top, he was able to just drop his weight without having 4 or 5 extra steps. then we started to see him run that route in one-on-ones more and more, which is one of the harder routes because you're going to have an attached defender. So once the player is ready to receive it, and we do have to point out those things even when they're great players because we're trying to refine greatness constantly.
You saw that this summer or this offseason, saw that route work for him then?
Yes. It just became a part of now. Once he sees it work, and we already thought that we could get him strong enough there, now it becomes not only a part of what he does, but it's also a way that he can help us in ways that he did not.
Scottie, when you were scouting wide receivers around the draft, what stood out to you about Matthew Golden?
Tremendous speed to begin with. I thought he was very fluid. He had the ability to sink his weight, and he could catch the ball on the move. I thought it's one of the things that when a player can really catch it without slowing down, or they can pluck it and go, being quick to the tuck is what I like to call it. The quicker you are to the tuck, the yards after the catch happen. People think about that in the sense of a world of explosives and big plays. Not me. I kind of think of that in the sense of keeping the drive going. So when you have a fast guy that can pluck, not only can he keep the drive going, but now you get the explosive part after that. So it's a combination of that skill and that speed, but being able to catch it on the move, and then just being able to also come into a situation where he hadn't been there the whole time and beat great players and also compete every day. And then there's so many guys that were there to make plays. When he got his opportunity to make plays, it stood out.
Scottie, so much attention in your room is paid to Saint and JMO and even Tesla now. Do you feel like Khalif's in a spot to kind of remind everyone this season just how valuable he can be to this offense?
Yeah, I think we're in the building. I think we're completely reminded after the training camp he just had. In the spring he just had, it was probably one of the more consistent springs that we've seen at the wide receiver position of being here and being detailed. His catch-to-target ratio, his one-on-one wins, his ability to separate in tight coverage, his ability to make plays down the field. So we're tracking this a little bit different maybe than everybody else. We're just trying to make sure that we get the upper echelon out of each player, and he is playing closer to his roof now than he was before. So we really like where he is, and hopefully he can have a tremendous role in helping us this year.
Coach, you mentioned the test in Green Bay. What kind of test did the secondary here give your receivers over this whole training camp?
Yeah, we set it up to be as rugged as it possibly can be. One of the things that I really liked what our secondary did is they beat us up at the line of scrimmage. They roughed us up at the line of scrimmage. They held us. They grabbed us. Everything right at the edge of legality. A lot of it past that point. You hear me, Shay? I hope you're listening, Shay. All right. So that challenge, just every day, we had to come to work every single day. Like when there was situations to where you are in one-on-one battles all the time, because we were in so many one-on-one battles at every position, at the slot position, at the two exterior positions. Somebody has to win every single play. And it's not going to be, we're giving up just a zone catch here or a curl catch here. Everything that we did was contested. So we got better and sharper in our routes, but we also got better when we couldn't separate at making contested catches. It was the best competition at the receiver and DB position all year, consistently all camp. So we were happy about that.
Scottie,
Time for 2 more, please.
When Brad formed the roster, it went down to 50, and he said 50 guys deserve to make this team. I think a lot of us saw Jackson Meeks and thought maybe he was on that border. A lot of good plays in practice, obviously a couple good games. What does he have to do? Where does he have to grow to take that step to be deserving of a roster spot in this league? Man,
I think he's deserving. Right? Like in this league, I think he's a player that can play at a high level. Where we are as a program, right, is probably a great determining factor for some of that. We have gotten to a point with Dan and Brad to where I think we've done just about as best job I've been around of creating that echelon where it's so heavy at the top that the top and the middle are now close too. So breaking into that for anybody can be tough. What I'll say to him though is that his time is coming. You got to be ready when your time comes, and it is coming. I feel it. I think that, there's no holding him out of becoming a great player in this league. Just be ready, Mixie. Just be ready.
Where do you see Jamir Gibbs' evolution as a receiver? And obviously he was working a lot with you guys and individuals. I mean, how has he kind of evolved, and what could he possibly do there out wide?
Yeah, the more he stays around Saint, the better he'll be. Okay, so just watch Saint and do what Saint does. The truth is, that is the case, but a lot like what I was talking about with Golden. If you can put him in situations to where he can get a little quicker to the tuck with the football, and he's a guy that can catch it on the move, not only will it make explosives, but it'll extend these plays. So we can see him a lot of different places. I think everybody in here knows he's physically talented enough to do everything that the receiver position can do. But now you have to have the knowledge and what they have of just a lifelong feeling of route running. Is the nickel buzzing? Is the nickel stand over the top of me? Is it cover two? So I got to get him thinking on the run a little bit quicker when he's at the receiver position, which he's done a good job. And I think that's the next point, just seeing it and experiencing it enough more.
A couple of months ago, when you talked,
And then Nolan, last one, please.
a couple of months ago when you made your transitions to the receivers, you talked about your desire to get back to the passing game. Now, after being with them for a couple of months, I mean, you've been around these guys for the past couple of years, but working with them more closely for the past couple of months, what have you learned about this group?
Man, relationships. These guys, you can be close to someone, but until you're in the room with them, all of us that have, brothers that have lived in a room where you got two brothers in a room, or you got a brother in this room and a brother in that room, you can be tight. But when you live together, and it's one of the reasons why my little boys stay in the same room right now, all they have is each other. So we're in the same room, and now we know that they're depending on me, I'm depending on them, so the level of accountability is there. What I didn't understand about these guys, though, is just how truly, special they were as it comes to detail and hard work. And that's driven by Saint, it's driven by Khalif, it's driven by, Waymo. But that's something even that I didn't know about them. I felt like the backs were as good as they possibly can be. And then now you realize why our building truly is the way that it is. We got guys all over the building, the O-line, our linebackers, our secondary, our D-line that are just so attentive to detail, and they play hard, extremely hard.
You're entering your third season as an assistant head coach. What kind of tools and skills has that added to your kid?
Man, I tell you, coming in here, I probably had 3 hats. Now I probably got 25 hats. A lot of them to cover up the hair that I've lost since learning some of the things that I've learned. And it's just the big picture. You can get so involved when you're in a room that you can't see the building. Right. So what Dan has given me the ability to do since I got here is to see the building, not just from an offensive standpoint, but from a defensive standpoint and also administrative standpoint. So that's one of the things I got to say thank you to him for giving me the opportunity and not just giving me the title. Right. There's 2 different things. There's a title, and then there's the opportunity that creates your ability to see it from a head coach's position. And that's what he's been able to do for me.